Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Adewale Martins. I'm counsel with Top Market Attorneys, and today I want to welcome you to another episode of TPM Talks. On TPM Talks, what we do is to discuss legal issues in the industry and try to educate the community and provide information, useful information for our community. Today, I have with me the managing partner of TPM. She's an accomplished lawyer. She's the alter ego of TPM, so to speak. And she's an internationally trained lawyer. She's qualified in Nigeria. She's also qualified in Canada. And her name is Mrs. Oluwakemi Oduwole. Mrs. Oduwole, you want to introduce yourself a bit?
Thank you, Wale. Hi, everyone. My name is Kemi Oduwole, and as Wale said, I'm qualified both in Nigeria and in Canada, and I'm happy to be on TPM Talks today.
Thank you, Mrs. Oduwole. Today, we're going to be discussing an issue that most people feel is a requirement for a lawyer, that you must have or you must be a good public speaker to be a lawyer. Whether you need to be a good public speaker to be a lawyer. I'm going to let Mrs. Oduwole share her views on this topic before I then also share my own opinion. So,
well, okay, thank you, Wale. Well, what I've noticed is that I think there's a general opinion of people that think that people that have that could speak well, have advocacy skills, and they can be good lawyers. You know, I know a lot of times when you see maybe children, teenagers who are talking, and adults will say, "Oh, that girl can advocate for herself. She can talk. She'll be a good lawyer." You know, but I don't necessarily see it that you need to be a good public speaker to be a lawyer. I don't think so. It's a good skill for a lawyer to acquire, but you need not be a public speaker to be a good lawyer. That's what I think.
Thank you, Mrs. Oduwole. For me, I just feel that there are several areas of law, right? You can be a litigator, you can be working as in-house counsel in a law firm. You could be working with government where you don't really need to speak to a lot of people or speak to a large crowd at any point in time. So as an in-house counsel, for example, you're probably just working on your files. You're not addressing any large crowd. You're just doing your own thing, right? Or you could be doing business law where you don't have to go to court and you don't have to address the court. You don't have to address any gathering of people, right? So I think I agree with you, Mrs. Oduwole, that you don't necessarily have to be a good public speaker to be a lawyer. So what I feel is that the lawyer needs to identify where they want to practice. If you want to be a litigator, what are the skills you need to be a litigator? So for example, if you want to be a litigator, you know that you may have to do a bit of public speaking, not necessarily, but you may have to do a bit of that. So you need to learn those skills to be able to do your work and represent your client properly, and in a way that the client can also have confidence in you and be able to trust you to do their case properly. So yeah, I don't think that you need to specifically be a good public speaker to be a lawyer. Another thing though is that on the issue of being confident and being able to confidently take up your client's case and do it properly. Do you have, Mrs. Oduwole, do you have any tips on how lawyers can confidently marshal their points and do their cases, represent their clients?
Yes, thank you, Wale. Yes, I do. One thing is that the role of a lawyer is advocacy. Even if you're an in-house counsel, you still have to do written advocacy for your clients. You know, that's where your writing skills comes in. And you need to have the ability to be able to reason. So like we were talking about the lawyer need not have the ability to be a good public speaker, because what is really required of you is totally different of what is required of a public speaker. You know, a public speaker is to motivate and excite people, while the role of a lawyer is to convince people, you know, on behalf of your client. So those roles are different. So in order to be able to convince people, you need to know what you're talking about. You need to be able to marshal your points. You know, you need to be able to see that, okay, this is the opposite side. This appears to be against my client, but look at it this way. This is what the court said this way, you know. So that's why it's very important that a lawyer needs to do their homework. You know, a lawyer needs to do the homework and be prepared for whatever one is going to do. I remember I had a case at the federal court some time ago, and I'd prepared what I want to do. You know, most lawyers, when we're going to court, would have prepared examination in chief, cross examination, introduction, and all that. And I'd had all my submissions ready. And usually in courts, the judges just listen to you and you make your submissions and you leave. But I was before a particular judge that day, and immediately we came in, he just said, well, counsel, I've read your materials. This area is a concern for me. Can you address me? And it was not even in my notes at all. You know, so if you had prepared that you were going to court and you wanted to say this, you could get to court and things change. You could have the counsel on the other side say something different, or even your witness could turn to an hostile witness and you'll be stranded. You know, so you need to be well prepared. You need to know your materials. So at that point, if you do that, you can be able to walk outside the box. So let me put it that way. So you must be prepared to be able to walk outside the box. So being prepared is a very important skills for a lawyer when it comes to advocacy and the ability to be able to represent clients. So that's what I think. What about you? What do you think? Since you asked me that question.
Yeah, I'm just going to share an experience I had sometime when I was practicing in Nigeria. And so back then, we used to do a lot of watching brief. That's what we call it, watching brief or shadowing. So you would have not, you wouldn't have any case going on, but you just go to court and go and watch proceedings, see how the lawyer is marshalling their points, how they're addressing the court, addressing the lawyer on the other side, how they are conducting the case generally. So that really helped me because I learned that you just need to be composed. You need to be confident and make your point. You don't necessarily have to have the skill to be a public speaker, right? So the confidence comes from experiences. That's what I feel. As you go on in the profession, as you watch other people do things, you pick up skills from them. You watch the way they do things and you learn from them. When you do it the first time, don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's what I tell people. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Do what you need to do your homework, and then be also prepared for, as you said, cases where you go to court and the case turns around a bit and you just have to think on your feet, right? So that's what I think a lawyer should, that's the way I think a lawyer should work. Observe, watch, learn, and then apply the skills. Yes.
Yeah, that's very, you know, when you mentioned that the person should not be afraid, you know, that should be confident, should not be afraid. I remember an experience I had the first time I was appearing before the courts in Canada when I started practicing here. And I'd been practicing for more than 15 years. I've appeared before different levels of court, and I was a law professor as well before coming. So public, and I love talking anyway, you know, so I just didn't feel it would be an issue. But when I got to court that morning and the judge came in, I was on the podium, believe you me, I just started shaking my hands, my legs, you know, I was scared, I was afraid. And I knew I was just going to say nonsense. I could not even read my notes. You know, at that point, I knew I needed help. You know, I just had the bravery just to tell the judge that this is my first time of appearing at the federal court, you know, and the counsel on the other side just smiled, you know, and just told me that, don't worry, we've all been there. And the judge said, oh, don't worry, counsel, just see us all here as your friends. And, you know, and that changed the atmosphere for me, you know, because they were sympathetic, they were ready to listen to me. So I didn't feel I was going to be judged, right? and I went ahead, I said what I wanted to say. So I just want to encourage people, even if it's not lawyers, in whatever you want to do, don't be afraid. Because I believe that even that's one of my mottos. If you make a mistake once, you won't make it again. So don't be afraid to make a mistake. So that's one important thing that I've learned. And one thing we also need to know is that the judges, the counsel on the other side, they've been there. It's been their first time. They've been new lawyers as well. So they really appreciate and understand the experiences you have. And you will come across some that they would even share tips, share their experiences with you. And you may even get mentors from scenarios like that. So that's one thing that I've learned about not being afraid when it comes to advocacy abilities. It's very important with respect to that. When it comes to in-house counsel, Wale, what do you think the in-house counsel, what skills do you think they need in order to be able to represent their clients? If they are not going before the judge most times, what do you think they need to do?
For in-house counsels, I would say they need a thorough knowledge of the field where they're working, right? So if you're not going to be going to court or addressing the judge, you're still going to do a lot of work for your client on the file you're working on, right? So for them, I believe that in any case, that's something that every lawyer needs to have, is sound knowledge of that field where you're practicing in, right? Of course, you need also to be able to communicate with your client, right? You need to be able to communicate with the lawyer on the other side. Fine, you will not be going to court, but you will be communicating with the lawyer on the other side. And also, in some cases, you have to communicate with the lawyer who may be representing your client in court, right? So yeah, for in-house counsels, of course, they need to have a sound knowledge of what they are doing, and also be able to communicate with their clients and have the confidence to speak to their clients and be able to carry the matter forward. That's what I think is important for in-house counsels. What do you think?
Yes, I agree with you. And just to wrap up, before you round off, you use the word, which I think is just the key word, communication. You know, it is not as much as having the ability to be a public speaker, although the skill would come in very handy. But for you to be a good lawyer, you need to learn the art of communication, whether written communication or oral communication. I think that is just the key thing that a person needs to know. Is not as much as public speaking or anything, but ability to be able to communicate and pass across your message, whether you're an in-house counsel or whether you are in litigation, in whatever capacity you find yourself as a lawyer. The bottom line is just that you need the ability to be able to communicate. So
thank you so much, Mrs. Oduwole. Thank you for joining us today. And I want to thank all the viewers for joining us today as well. We hope that you'll join us again for another episode of TPM Talks. I also want to thank the partners of TPM for putting this program together. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on our social media pages. Any comment or any legal issues you want us to discuss about, just leave a comment and we'll take it from there. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
thank you, everyone. Bye.